Now, on example 5, sorry, I'll get out of there. On example 5, it says Hector is measuring the boundary of a new garden. He wants the garden to be a square. He has set each of the corner stakes 6 feet apart. What does he need to know to measure the garden is a square? Or what does he need to measure to make sure it's a square? Well, we know it's a rhombus because it has all 4 sides equal. So how could he figure it's a rectangle? Well, there's 2 ways he could do it. He could measure that angle and make sure it's 90 degrees. Or he could measure the diagonals and make sure they're equal. I think that would be the more applicable one. Finally, let's take a look at a problem on the coordinate plane again. It says determine whether parallelogram ABCD is a rhombus, a rectangle, or a square. Now you could do it a couple different ways. Let's start with rhombus. Is it a rhombus? Since we know it's a parallelogram, we don't have to do all 4 sides. I could measure the distance from B to C and the distance from A to B, and they would be, if they're congruent, we have it. But we did a bunch of distance on the last seminar, in the previous lesson. Let's try something different. Let's take a look at the diagonals. Let's find the slope of B to D. Remember, slope is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So if we look at B and D, so I'm going to say negative 2 minus 3 over 2 minus a negative 1. Well, 2 minus 3 is negative 5. Negative 2 minus 3 is negative 5. 2 plus 1 would be 3. Now let's look at the slope of AC. So I got A and C here. So I'm going to say 2 minus a negative 1 over 3 minus a negative 2. Well, 2 minus a negative 1 is 3. 3 minus a negative 2 is 5. Notice these two are opposite reciprocals, which means that those lines are perpendicular. Your diagonals are perpendicular. So if you have a parallelogram with perpendicular diagonals, we know this is a rhombus. Now let's see if it's a rectangle. And once again, I could just take what we just did, and I could find the distance from B to D, and I could find the distance from A to C, and if they're congruent, I know it's a rectangle. I could also just see if one of the angles is 90 degrees. I could do the same thing. Let's find the slope, this time, of BC. So I'm going to erase this. I'm going to use B and C now. So your slope is going to be 2 minus 3 over 3 minus a negative 1. Which is 2 minus 3 is negative 1. 3 plus 1 is 4, so it's negative 1/4. Let's turn around and let's find the slope of AB now. So a to b. So we're going to say 3 minus a negative 1 over negative 1 minus a negative 2. Well, 3 minus a negative 1 is 4. Negative 1 plus 2 is 1, so your slope is 4. Notice they are negative reciprocals, so that makes angle B a right angle, which makes this shape a rectangle. Since the shape is both a rectangle and a rhombus at the same time, my answer is this shape is a square. And there you have it.